Mr. Edmond,
Here.
Mrs. Lynn,
Here.
Mrs. Guerrero Namir,
Present.
Mr. Bean, Mr. Coffey, Mrs. Stiff,
Present.
Mr. Kennedy.
Here.
Can I stand?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to welcome all our guests. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, Mr. Sam Coffey.
Okay, let me read something. I still have to read. Come on. On behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to welcome all our visitors, persons, and watching on live stream. And we know that this is interaction with the board. May not an interaction with the board, but you're talking to the board, but we're not having an interaction. Given 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm a junior at West. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the school district for affording me the opportunity to volunteer on an action planning team. And that's what I'm here to speak about today, in support of the strategic plan and approving that. Specifically, I'd like to suggest approving the part about the open campuses. I personally spent a lot of time, countless hours researching schools that have conditional open campuses and how successful they've been. I've looked at a lot of data about them, and I think it would be really beneficial for our school and for our students to have the open campuses. I think it works very well with our mission statement, and open campuses are a great step in getting to where we need to be, in my opinion. So that's really all I had to say was I'm here to suggest approving the strategic action plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Now we're gonna go to a consent agenda. A little bit there, I don't know. Must have got a little bit discombobulated just for a moment. We're gonna turn this over to the superintendent.
First, you have to do a motion for the consent.
Oh. we still got- Oh, can I get a motion for the consent agenda, sir?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown Amer?
Yes.
This is the great part. We like doing celebration and recognitions. So we have a recognition for Central Campus at this time.
Yes, I'd like to invite Principal Halahan and Assistant Principal Locke to start us off with recognition.
Thank you, and
I think I would know that by now. Thank you, and welcome, everyone. Traditionally, the principals do the recognitions, and I'm going to be a part of it tonight, but I wanted to explain. I asked Mr. Locke to come up with me tonight and to speak about the event that we're recognizing tonight, the Thanksgiving in 5 event, because Mr. Locke was instrumental on the school and the district's end in making it happen. He worked very closely with Jalen Jones and his team. He went to the event and just raved about it, and it just didn't feel right for me to come up and read a summary of what the event was when I could have Mr. Locke come up and tell you firsthand what it was all about. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Locke so he can talk about the event, and then I will introduce all of the people we're recognizing tonight. So, Mr. Locke.
I don't do this as often as Mr. Hallahan, so I apologize, but I do know how to push the button now. First and foremost, before I talk about the Thanksgiving in 5 event, I want to make sure that I let Jalen and his family know I still haven't gotten my shirt. That you... Okay. All right, that was November 19th for the record. So make sure that is noted, Ms. Rico. So this event, so Jalen and Capricia, if you two could come up here, please, and you certainly do not have to talk unless you want to, but I am going to give a little quick overview of a timeline, if you will. So back in July, Jalen and Capricia reached out to me and had this vision of this event that would happen 5 days before Thanksgiving in 5, and we met in July. And sometimes when we meet with people that early before an event, 5-6 months before the event, it kind of windows away and it doesn't happen. Well, that certainly wasn't the case in this situation. I do think I overwhelmed both of them when I started talking about building usage, the application that they had to fill out, the insurance that they would have to come up with, and the potential costs. We obviously worked all that out. They followed through on their end, and the event itself was absolutely amazing. The gist of the event was to provide people in need a Thanksgiving celebration, fellowship, if you will. And that is what Jalen and Capricia and their team made happen at Joliet Central back on November 19th. Would you guys like to talk about the event a little bit? Oh, Tyler, yes, Tyler Johnson, come on up. I apologize. Kind of. He's more like Joliet West, so. Yeah, no, and that's great. New alum, so it's very cool, yes. So, no, Tyler, I apologize. Tyler, on a serious note, I only started seeing Tyler's name on emails when we started doing the closed drive throughout the late part of October, beginning part of November. And the event itself, besides Mr. Fursick and his team, which I don't know if any of them are here, but they were unbelievable and what they were able to do for Jalen and his team as far as the food preparation and making sure everything was up to code as far as the health department and doing all those types of things. But I will let Jalen and his team talk about it, but if you weren't there and you aren't sure what the event was about, a lot of our students helped out with the event, but not only was it a meal and, 3 to 5 hours in the Joliet Central Student Center, providing that meal, but it evolved into a clothes drive for winter. Barbers came in to give people in need a haircut. They brought in a DJ. I think there was a book drive, or there were books given away, and then there was a s'mores station for kids and Disney movies being played. So overall, the event was unbelievable. I believe about 200 people in the Joliet community took part in the event, and I definitely see this being an annual event, hopefully, and it will only grow from this point on. Okay? So Jalen, Capricia, Tyler, if you'd like to talk, it's all yours.
Good evening. Hello, you all. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here. We appreciate being recognized for an event like this. I was telling my aunt last week, she was like, were you surprised that you'll be recognized? And I said, not really. I believe that when you do good work and you do what you're called to do, this is the reward for the labor. And so I'm honored more than anything, and it is a privilege. But as Mr. Locke said, the event, to provide you all with more context, was not only a space for people to get a Thanksgiving meal, it was a nice hot cooked dinner, but as he mentioned, people received free haircuts. There was a clothing drive, and so kudos to the entire Joliet community for donating clothes. Tyler worked with the schools to have students put together boxes that was at West, at Central, and also here at the district office, and they overflowed. I would have to come numerous days the week of to pick up, and so we had, I would say, at least 100 bags full of clothes, from children's to men's, women, boys and girls clothing. We had an entire space for the kids, and so they had a chance to color, to read books, they watched movies, they ate popcorn and s'mores. We also had a room for prayer, and so if people were interested in prayer, receiving words of encouragement, that was an opportunity. And then we also had a staffing agency there, and so they were there to also help people with resumes, build them if they didn't have one, and also find jobs for the season. And so it was the one-stop shop for everything that you needed, and regardless of what your need was, you came and you left with that need met. And so that was the most important part for us. But I also want to use this time to say thank you to Capricia and Tyler specifically for their yes. They were on board from the very beginning. People don't know this, but I got the idea 5 years ago. It's called Thanksgiving in 5, the 5 means something. But I got the idea 5 years ago. I tried to do it in 2020, but the pandemic was crazy, and it was a time where it was uncertain for a lot of people, and so I couldn't really execute. But at that time, when I brought it up, Capricia was the first one. She was like, I'm here, I'm ready, whatever you need me to do, the first person to reach out and say something. And so fast forward to earlier this year, she works at the YMCA. She invited me to come speak to the students. And so afterwards, I was like, Capricia, do you remember the event that I brought up 2 years ago? And she was like, yeah, I remember. I was like, I want to do it. And she said, you let me know when we need to start. And so this was February, March at the beginning of this year. And so to see us start then and to end up where we are today, it means the world to me. And Tyler, this is my brother. We've been knowing each other for years, for a very long time. And I remember having a conversation with him and his wife. We were talking about it, and he was like, this was the opportunity I was waiting on. I've been talking to Haley, trying to find ways to give back, and this is the opportunity for me. And so to see two of my best friends that I went to junior high with Tyler, he went to West, to Bass. To go to high school with Capricia and work with them throughout this process was amazing. And so I want to say thank you. And I also want to say thank you to Mr. Locke, Mr. Hallahan at Central, allowing us to use the space, the entire district, the West Campus, for your contributions and your help and support. My entire family. Can everybody just look in the back? Just look in the back. And also shout out to my personal barber, Toya. She was the one that sent her students to give out free haircuts at the event. And I also want to give a special shout out to Nate, who is not here, and Tyrell, who also in the back. Both of them were the individuals that had drop-off locations for clothes. And so Tyrell is the owner of Joliet Creamers, and Nate, he's the owner of House of Valor, the gym in Joliet. So we have multiple drop-off locations, and so I want to make sure that everyone that contributed is recognized. And so, thank you.
And so I am going to read the names of everyone who was involved, the student volunteers, Jalen and his team, although I think Mr. Locke should do it, because after that performance, I don't know that anybody's going to want to hear from me anymore. Thanks a lot for that. So if you want to please come up, I'll read all the names, even if we're not sure everybody is here. We ask you to please come forward, be recognized, and then we'll take a group picture with Christine. So again, we have Jalen Jones, Capricia Neal, Tyler Johnson, Tyrell Hundley, Trinity Patterson, Kiera Mabry, Josiah Haywood, Trey Pierce, Latoya Medina, Nate McCullum, Joe Jones, Tatiana Jones, Amber Jones, Haley Johnson, Tanya Conway, Martha Jones, Jermaine Jones, Doris Jones, Kiera Jones, Kalia Jones, Jada Jones, Bolethia Johnson, Stephen Hale, Zakia Collier, Stacy Thomas, Mariana Morales, Linda Bowers, John Bowers, Kiara Williams, Zachariah Hawkins, Anna Maria Dorsey Atkinson, and Jenna Simpson. Those are the community volunteers and part of Jalen's team. Then we had our cafeteria staff, as Mr. Locke mentioned, played a large role in this. If any of them are here, but I'll read their names just in case. Claudia Figueroa, Brian Fursick, Artis Gregorish, Veronica Juarez, Deborah Kurtz, Tara Robles, and Asucensa Villanueva. Of course, Mr. Locke, we want to recognize him for his role, as was mentioned. And then, as he also mentioned, we did have many students who volunteered and gave up their day to participate in this wonderful event, so I want to make sure I read their names. Santiago Vasquez Alvarez, Angela Avor, Marcelo Del Angel, Kesley Gomez, Jacqueline Hoang, Edwin Halupa Luan, Holly Salazar Ramirez, Liam Walsh, Ashley Morales Bautista, Miriam Cortez, Lana Duong Champa, and Micah Ongiko. Excuse me.
Congratulations, you guys. If you're on the taller side, make your way to the back. If you are on the shorter side, come on.
Before Christine takes the picture, there were a lot of different groups here, and I just want to make sure we didn't miss anyone. So if you were part of this event and I did not call your name, one, I apologize, but two, please come up so I can recognize you and you can get in the picture.
Come on, Locke, you perpetrate.
Okay.
So, front row, kind of like, okay, yep, that's good.
He's trying.
You cannot see me, you're not in the picture, so, yep, make sure that you can see, so, yep, there you go. Yeah. All faces. Okay, ready? All right. 1, 2, 3.
Who don't fall too far from each other?
Are y'all gonna take a selfie with Mr. Edmond? I think y'all should take a selfie.
Thank you so much.
Yesterday. Okay.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. We have a lot of recognition tonight, so that was wonderful to start off. I have the privilege of recognizing the many, many individuals who participated in strategic planning. And we'll have a presentation in a little bit about the strategic plan, but at this time, I'd like to recognize all the individuals, students, staff, community members, parents that participated. And I am going to read everyone's name. So when I call your name, if you're here, come up here. But there are a lot of names, so I'm going to do it pretty quickly. And if I do not say your name correctly, please come tell me that so that I can make sure I do not do that in the future. So we're going to start with our strategic planning team. That was our 30 to 35 individuals that met this summer and concluded in December. That sort of set the direction of what we worked on, and then also our 4 action planning teams. So on our strategic planning team, we had Jennifer Bloom, Gabriella Bonfield, Jamila Cage, Tanisha Cannon, Lauren Carter, Mike Clark, Dan Coffey, Casey Carino, Frank Edmond Jr., Abel Farias, Joe Fekich, Carla Francini, Anita Galvin, Shad Hallahan, Islandis Hampton, Yvette Justice, Steve Locke, Natalie Lopez, Sean Mabry Mitchell, Jessica Majerus, Brett Markham, Diane McDonald, Steve Millsaps, Nerese Moffitt, Annie Moninger, Matt Narducci, Derek Neal, Pat O'Neill, Takara Parker, Cameron Rhymes, Tanya Rico, Christine Schlishman, Krista Walsh, and Deborah Upshaw. Just to get us started, as we're making our way up, I do want to just take a moment, and it's a sad moment, but we need to recognize the work of Mike Clark, and he was a challenger and a champion of the district. And I've worked with Mike on strategic planning prior to this opportunity. And we're just so saddened by the loss. And we just want to take a moment of silence to commemorate the work he's done with our district, the work he's done with our community, and the legacy he's left us to carry on. Thank you. I'm just going to read the rest of the names and we'll have everyone come up together. So this is our strategic planning team. We also have our action team leaders, and I know some of them are here tonight, and we have 4 action teams. And again, I'm going to read all the names. Shelley Clark, Rebecca Lara, Brett Markham, Jeff Riley, Michelle Pluhar, Andre Bowie, Joe Wooten, Amanda Ringfelt, Christopher Parker, Tina Villaflor, Paige Dela Cruz, and Chris McGuffey. And these individuals planned and facilitated weeks of action planning and made the recommendations to the team that I read first, and took us through the research and took us through what the action steps should be. So we cannot thank them enough for their leadership. And then our strategic planning action team members for strategy 1, we have Tiffany Alexander, Chandra Allgood Foster, Sam Coffey, Jordan Conejo, Michelle Cottrell, Mike Clark, Iana Daniels, Amari Davis, Natalie Ike, Maya Ellis, Abel Farias, Carla Francini, Mike Grohar, Sean Hackney, Jessica Leone, Erica Martinez, Asia McNuckles, Norris Moffitt, Alexandra Olvera, Rosa Ornelas, did I say Ornelas? I think I said it right. Elizabeth Sanchez, Aranza Santiago, Betsy Satcher, Linda Shanks, Tanya Sheets, Dinah Stallings, Deborah Upshaw, and Erica Williams. And then strategy 2, we had Margarita Cuevas, Emily Diaz, Robin English, Joe Fekich, Kelly Gilbert, Vivian Helwich, Katie Hunt, Sariana Mateo, Matt Narducci, Patrick O'Neill, Paul Oswald, Gilda Reynoso, Tim Roberts, Nelson Rodriguez, Anisette Ruiz, John Chiklinski, DeKayla Turner. And for action planning team strategy 3, we had Julie Edelman, Maria Bautista, Jamila Cage, Sharon Cage, Christian Collins, Ashley Erico, Rosita Griggs, Demia Jackson, Carla James, Michael Kerkamp O'Shea, Emmanuel Lowe, Ruth Mangabi, Dan Marcoon, Nicole McMorris, Chrissy Monaco, Susanna Montano, Laura Paramo, Maureen Pulaski, John Randich, DeAndre Robinson, Amy Sanchez, Elise Small, Michelle Stiff, Keenan Tabudan, Paola Trejo, Alfredo Trejo, Tracy Ward. And then for strategy 4, we had Nicole Alajos, Jennifer Baxter, Jill Berscheid, Don Billings, Jennifer Bloom, Eric Carlson, Dan Coffey, Michelle Cottrell, Elizabeth Covelli, Nick Davis, Maribel Diaz, Noah Fabrice, Ariana Farias, Brett Gould, Megan Gunyer, Islandis Hampton, Thomas Hart, Edward Johnson, Maura Krakowski, Angelica Lara, Steve Locke, Diane McDonald, Kathleen Metzger, Steve Millsaps, Alicia Morales, Pete Nakovic, Matt Narducci, Evan Newman, Brian Newman, Brian Pachensny, John Piero, Zania Ramos, Jennifer Sitar, Elite Small, Jen Stansberry, Dan Tito, and Karina Yanis. We could just give everybody a round of applause.
Ankle in and scoot. If you are on the shorter side, I'm going to have you come on up. If you're on the taller side, we'll let you figure that out. Come on up. Angle in a little bit. If you cannot see my face, you're not in the picture. All right. Okay. Box a little bit that way. Michelle. A little bit over there. Yeah, okay. All right. Can everybody see me? Right, a little bit over there. Ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay. Nope. All right. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna take a little recess to greet and shake hands with all the recipients, both Jordan Central and West. Thank you. Great, 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 great. We're so thankful for all the recognition, and we also was thankful because the work that was done, well, I'll talk more about it, but the work that was done during the strategic plan and action items was, I thought it was outstanding. We did some good work done, and I think in the future, it's going to really guide our district to some great things. So I was very much impressed with the collaborative people that we have, as well as students, staff, and school board. So the board members that was on there, I can really say that we really did some nice work, and I enjoyed every bit of it as well. So I think the district is in a good place, and I think they're really going to be excited when we roll out the strategic plan. I thank everyone for this great work that we did, amen, on those days. You know, food was good too. Okay, we'll continue. This moves, oh no. The district thing we already did. Now we're getting ready for, oh, let's skip to the hearing.
That's the first thing. There's no correspondence or legislative report, so the next thing on our agenda would be the hearing.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to skip anything.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so we're going to go down to the hearing part. And can I have a motion to open up for hearing for the 2022 tax levy?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn? Yes. Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
All right. Is there any public comments? None? This was easy. Can I have a motion to close the hearing for the 2022 tax levy?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn? Yes. Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Thank you.
So then, continuing on with our superintendent reports, we have our first presentation tonight, which is our TRIO Educational Talent Search presentation, and we have Mr. DeAndre Butler here to talk about the program tonight. So thank you for being here, and he will also be able to answer questions. There you go.
All righty, thank you. So good evening. My name is DeAndre Butler. I serve as the Senior Director for the Center for Multicultural Access and Success at Joliet Junior College, overseeing two federal TRIO programs, Student Support Services that work with Joliet Junior College students, Educational Talent Search that work with students at Joliet Township, specifically Joliet Central, and we do have a few at West, I'll explain, as well as Multicultural and Undocumented Resources and International Student Services. Okay, so first, I would like to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to speak with you all today. I would also like to thank the teachers, paraprofessionals, the counselors, administrators, parents, students, principals, and everyone, okay? So thank you for having me here today. Now again, myself, I stand before you all as a TRIO alum. I graduated from Northern Illinois University from the Student Support Services Program.
Huskies.
Yes. And under the esteemed leadership of Mr. Jerry Wright, who was our TRIO director at that time. And one thing I like to say just about TRIO in general is, you know, it's to us like transforming roadblocks into opportunities. It's not really an acronym, but it gives students opportunities that you don't have otherwise. And so being a first generation college student myself, not thinking that I would ever go to college or make it, I had that opportunity through TRIO helping me succeed. So if you're familiar with TRIO programs in general and TRIO Educational Talent Search, again, TRIO is not an acronym. It stands for the first 3 TRIO programs that we had. And I'm knowing a lot of you all may be familiar with Upward Bound programs. Okay, so Upward Bound is our first, Upward Bound alum? Okay. Upward Bound was our first federal TRIO program. Then you have Educational Talent Search, which is the second one, so we do have it here in Joliet. And then you have Student Support Services. And so those were the 3 original programs that was established under the Higher Education Act of 1965. The purpose of them was just to give more exposure to higher education for underrepresented populations. Okay, so it was Dr. King and President Lyndon B. Johnson who assisted with this initiative. Our purpose with ETS is to provide academic, career, and financial counseling and exposure to higher education institutions. Okay. So our standardized objectives, this is our going on 7th year at Joliet Central, our 2nd grant cycle. And as you'll notice here, our baseline goals are we're 5% points higher than what the baseline goal is for our community that we serve. And so that's just us really trying to go over and beyond with making sure we meet the objectives of serving, making sure our underclassmen will continue from one grade to the next, 81%, 78% serving and making sure students will graduate within 4 years of their high school career, okay? 45% of students receiving a rigorous education, and 58% of graduates will enroll in a higher education institution. And so, you know, we've had a good success record at meeting our objectives and goals, except for within the pandemic. We got hit very, very hard during the time of the pandemic, but this grant cycle that came up, we want to make sure we still achieve the baseline goal that's higher and kind of come back hitting the ground running. So we have a staff, our educational outreach specialists, we have 2 of them. They're part-time individuals. And as I said, I'll kind of mention about just our service at West, just a little history of how we've been writing grants throughout the years here at JJC. We've competed for a separate grant for each school, just so we can expand our reach of the amount of students we're serving. So the grant, again, covers 500 students. And so the initial first-time writing educational talent search, we wrote for 1 for Central, 1 for West. That would have helped us serve 1,000 students. But we couldn't get the need at West Campus. So we only have the grant for Central, but we're able to actually serve 33% of students within the Joliet Township District and Joliet JJC's district in general. So that's how we're still kind of building this partnership with Joliet West. The struggle is our staff. We don't have enough staff to be able to run from one place to the next. And there is definitely a high need that we have at Central and the students that we actually serve. So, but some of the things that we do here: personalized advising and academic support, college and career exposure, tutoring and mentoring programs and meet student needs, financial literacy, which is mandated through our federal government, through the Department of Education. And we want to thank Principal Hallahan and the administration at Joliet Township, as well as the administration, Dr. Guzman and her team, for helping get us an advisory classroom this year, where we're able to kind of infiltrate our curriculum during a school day. Most of the activities that we currently do was after school, and that's also what made it a struggle to try to get over to the other high school as well. But now with this advisory classroom, we're able to do things with our students like dual credit, able to do scholarship workshops right there, able to assist them with completing their FAFSA right there, and a number of other things. So it's been working for us, but it's definitely affected our outreach, and I'll talk about that a little bit more too. So it's not a bad thing, but we just, again, okay. So eligibility for those that want to know. Again, who we're able to serve. So we're able to serve U.S. citizens, a family household that's considered low income, so most students within Joliet Township, free and reduced lunch counts in that category, as well as first generation college students, meaning mom or dad didn't graduate from a 4-year college or university, so they could have attended, but if they didn't complete, they're still considered you as a first generation. And then at risk, and that could mean anything. If they didn't do well on any testing, if they may have failed a class, or if they're having attendance issues, any of those things, we can kind of count those students in that 500 population that we serve, okay? So this here gives a pretty breakdown of the total number of students we're serving in each category. So at risk, if you all can see that, you know, we're serving 3.9%, first gen only, 17.8, and then 15.4, okay? But altogether, this current semester, this current quarter, we have 337 out of our 500 students. So we need some help. We need some help really just expanding our reach to more students to be able to serve. And so I'll be meeting with the administration to talk about some times that we can actually go back down to the cafeteria to kind of do some more recruiting and outreach opportunities. The demographics here. So on this slide, you'll see demographic breakdown. You will also see the note that says not including active MERS students. And I'll explain that reasoning shortly. But this gives you just a breakdown of who we're serving when it comes to the schools. So we do have 26 students that's at West. And a lot of the times, the students are coming over to Central to participate in a lot of the programs that we have. And so we got a good percentage of them that's making it over there. We have 3 students from other schools. So I think we got one in Manuka, we probably have one in Plainfield. And so just kind of spread out. And then 90% of our students out of this 337 are currently at Central, okay? The sex, we're serving 65% female, 34% male. And then it gives you an ethnic breakdown of the populations that we're serving as well, with our Hispanic population kind of leading of who we're serving, okay? So when I talked about MER, it stands again for Multicultural and Undocumented Resources, okay? So with the center now has given us an opportunity to expand our reach with more than just TRIO programs. So Multicultural and Undocumented Resources now doesn't limit us to just first generation, being a citizen, low income. My staff there under the MER area is able to actually serve students that's not eligible through the TRIO umbrella, okay? So they're serving students at both the college as well as the high school now, okay? So if we have these students, and one thing about TRIO, it's never been our thing to turn a student away. If you all are familiar with grant-funded programs, the thing is that you can't report on students that don't qualify. But it's never been our mission to say if a student came in and needed our assistance that we can't serve you. So we've served many students, of course, that we could not report on because it's just the right thing to do. And that's what my staff know in general. But it's an added benefit now to have our multicultural and undocumented resources to be able to come in and support if, you know, we were to get questions on some things. So when it comes to taking them on these field trips with us, multicultural and undocumented resources is able to cover that. If it comes to putting a stipend in place for these students, our multicultural and undocumented resources can cover those stipends now. We can't cover that from the grant fund. So that's how this whole partnership and relationship works, okay?
So when you say if, though, I just want to make sure, when you say if, you mean when? Because you're already serving this population?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 19 that we have. So we got 19 active. Yep. Right. So on this slide here, you'll see the student involvement for the fall 2022 semester as of December 3rd. And as you can see in yellow, we really do not have much of a freshman involvement. And again, I attribute that to, you know, us having an advisory, working on the current students that we have, getting them more involved. But we, again, our outreach and recruitment efforts that we had when we were in the cafeteria has kind of been limited. Now, we've been doing a lot of collaborative events, showing up at the freshman nights, the step-up nights. We've been involved in every single thing that, you know, the institutions have been inviting us to, and that's both been in Central and West, to try to really kind of reach more out to those freshman populations, as well as the freshman population we have at the school currently. We are hoping to see that change through more outreach efforts, as I've mentioned. And you also may see that these numbers do include some of the MERS students as well. And so we, you know, as students continue to come and apply, we do our intake process. You know, we're just hoping to kind of increase numbers across the entire board. But this breakdown shows you what our advisories has looked like with 52 students coming on a regular basis, what our events at Central look like. We have 52 students there, and then what our field trips actually look like. And majority of our field trips are to some educational experience, so it's always a college visit tied into it. It happens on days that, of course, the high school is closed, but the college is open. So Indigenous People Day, we took students to Illinois State University, and then also had a fun activity for them as well, team building activity for them to kind of just also have some fun outside of school, because we appreciate them just taking the time out of a day that they have off to actually participate. And here are some events that we've done over the semester. So we some would say I keep my staff very busy, okay? And so we're really trying to provide those programs and workshops that's beneficial to students. It can be healthy relationship. It can be, 1 hour of coding. The FAFSA workshop, we want to thank the counseling department for assisting us with that. So we did 2 nights with FAFSA as well and had over 60 students participating. Healing the Divide, and a number of other workshops as you can see here. Okay, so when put together, it's a lot of things that we're trying to expose our students to. And then our field trips. And, I'll just say, again, it's very difficult for us to kind of do the field trip pieces when, we can't pull them out of class, and we do understand that reasoning. But, if we did have the opportunity to kind of have some, college visit days on certain things, we can kind of make some more things happen. So what we did, Illinois State, as I mentioned, on Indigenous People Day, and then we did Joliet Junior College. We had a first generation college student celebration that took place on November 8th. Okay? So here are some of our events, the flyers that we have. We promote them on Instagram, email, and our Google Classroom. You all are more than able to follow us here. We also like to give our students the opportunity to tell their stories, okay? So just about their, activity and involvement with TRIO and how it's really benefiting them. And I did have some videos, but we had a lot of sound behind them. The videos came from, we did a senior decision day on campus and celebrated our seniors and where they were going. And when the seniors walked down and told us what school they were going to, we had a cowbell that we rang. And so it was kind of loud and rowdy, so I had to take those videos out. But and so again, just some student feedback here. If you all have the PowerPoint, and so we've we exposed to career too. So it's not just about the college. We had Constellation come and talk about the collaboration that they have with JJC and high school students being able to get certificates right now while they're in school to then go right into the work field, making as minimum as $72,000. And so we're trying to just, again, expose them to all fields here. Sorry, too fast. And so here's some pictures. Here's our Instagram. You can follow us at JJC_trio_ETS. So just follow us.
They have a nice, they do a nice branding, so I follow them. I recommend you guys follow them too.
Thank you.
If you're on Instagram, they have a nice social media presence.
Thank you. And, the thing, TRIO strives to bring engaging experiences to our students that might not have access outside of the program. We hope that you will continue to support us moving forward. We're looking to grow. We're looking for this partnership. We're looking for staff. I have an ETS manager position open and available. I also have an educational outreach position open and available. And so, if you have individuals that that will be good for this population and for this program, please definitely let us know. And then this is the current team we have here who's been doing the phenomenal work. We've lost staff over the time, and I think that's the struggle, with a program like this, and for students, when they're continuing to see faces change. And that's the piece that we're also dealing with the involvement with our students. The faces keep changing. And we all know what we're kind of actually going through within education in general. Some turnover is happening with us. And so I'm doing my best to really keep these people, keep these individuals to really continue to support our students here. So you have Madison, who's our office assistant, Colleen, educational outreach specialist, and then Giovanni. And Colleen and Giovanni are both Joliet Township alum. Gio went to Joliet Central, Colleen went to Joliet West. So, and where you can find us. So that's our link tree, and then more information about our programs. Again, I would like to thank you all for having me this evening. I have brochures that you can kind of share, or have for yourself and share within the community and share with your students. And, we're here to serve. Thank you.
I have a question. So you talk about these standardized objectives. Are these your goals? Are these the goals for the TRIO program? Do you have any history of the success?
Yes.
Of our students? 7 years you said?
Yes.
You've been in?
Yes.
Do you
So
have?
Yep, I do. We have an annual performance report that we submit every year. Normally it's due in November. This year we have a delay in the report. As I mentioned, within the COVID years, we struggled with hitting our numbers. Because of COVID, we did a contingency plan to try to get our students involved virtually and things of the sort, but wasn't successful. But I can give you a report on some of our annual report data and show you how those numbers look on how we were meeting them in the past. One of the areas we've struggled in, and we had to lower this number, was the rigorous course work, okay? And that's the reports that we're getting from, again, the district and the students that we're serving. So that's asking, are these students taking a rigorous coursework of study? And we have not been meeting that objective, but it's not to our advantage. So it's just what we're doing in the district, and we got to try to figure out how to fix that problem.
And my next question, your open positions, are they through JJC?
They are. So this grant is 100% funded through JJC, but we thank you all, the board, and the administration here. We like to say pretty much this staff, this team is really 90% Joliet Township. That's where they're most of the time. So, they'll probably do some professional development opportunities at JJC if we're having an opening session or if I'm hosting a staff meeting. But majority of our work, we're at Joliet Township Monday through Friday, doing work with the students. So 90% of our time is definitely spent at the township.
Sorry, a couple questions. We always have questions.
That's okay.
So you said your staff was part-time, is that because that's the only availability they have, or is that the only ability for that particular?
That's the only, we're a level funded grant, so, just being familiar with the grants. Our ETS manager position is a full-time position. But with us being a level funded grant, and of course, if you are in control of budgets, salary, fringes, and benefits eat up majority of grant dollars. Just another thing, we all, of course, think we, or should, feel like we have more money. But Joliet is actually a good paying area in the district. And so for this specific grant and what my budget is, I can't afford. I can't afford full-time at the time. I have been in opportunities to put these individuals in temporary full-time positions, and that's closer to the end of the grant, depending on some unfortunate, like empty positions. I can use some of those salaries to try to support that in the meantime. But one thing as the center, and so we've only been a Center for Multicultural Access and Success for a year and a half now, July 1 of 2021. And so with that partnership with multicultural undocumented resources, hopefully in the future I'm able to actually merge some positions together to get some full-time positions to keep people as well. So it's some goals put in place, and also thinking about institutional budgets that can support these programs as well. Okay, but continuously looking for grants. We did just write for Upward Bound, and I really didn't want to share this news, but I feel like I can, because we're continuously trying to grow again the TRIO programs as well as our staff to support these high schools in the district. But we wrote for Upward Bound, we missed it by 0.67 points. So you had to have a 108.67, and we missed it by 0.67 points. And so we're getting closer. Let's just say that. We wrote it years ago, and we're going to keep going for the initiative of increasing the grants. So.
Who is you going to partner with those projects with? That's going to be still Northern?
No, it was going to be West. It was going to be, we did West and Central. So we wrote them together this time, trying to kind of see if that would have worked. And so we were very, very close.
Thank you. One more. When you mentioned recruitment, and sorry if I missed this, but you also work with our counselors and social workers. Do they ever?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Now, what I was talking about, partner with Upper Bound. So you said Upper Bound, would that still be the same process that was in the 70s?
That was it, I'm sorry.
Do you know?
Oh, yeah, the goals and objectives of Upward Bound not changed, yes. So, it's still that program, and it's more of a case management program. It's serving, if you ask me the question, I'm thinking you asked me.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a case management type program. We would have been serving 60 students. Am I answering your question?
Well, I know we're probably not going to do it, but when I went in the 70s, it was actually a project Upper Bound to get people acclimated into the college life. So
Yes, it's the same.
what you're going to be doing? Okay, that's what I'd like to know. Okay. I majored myself, but that's where I was at. But I loved it, and I think some of us that was going to school at the time, it's like dual credits that we're doing now.
Yep.
So we was getting college credits for being on the campus, taking courses, and I got college credits for being there from sophomore to my senior year.
Okay.
And it gave me acclimated me with Northern Illinois college life, so I was going all the way through the various buildings and everything for my,
So it might have changed a little bit, because that's dual credit now. Okay, so I know what you're talking about. We now, what we do though, to still implement that with Upward Bound, it's a 6-week program where the students stay on a college campus, and we do a number of areas of workshops
Okay.
to really just help them understand what college is, for sure putting that financial literacy piece up in there, and having them take some coursework, but it's not college credit. That's the dual credit piece that we're also trying to assist with tightening up, okay, that relationship
okay.
there. Yep.
Maybe if we knew what year in the 70s, we could answer the question better.
I'm not, yeah, I'm messing with it.
Sorry, just one more question. So because you're working part-time and you're trying to do both campuses and service our undocumented population, how many days per week would you say is the program at the schools? And do you feel like you're able to be effective with the part-time
Yeah.
folks you have?
We're doing a pretty good job. Again, I have the part-time, so one of my staff work Monday through Thursday. We're there doing advisory periods, so our hours are pretty much 9 to 4:30. Of course, some days we're staying over and shortening up on other days, and then I have another staff person that's there Tuesday through Friday.
At our school, in our school?
Yep, in the school. Again, as I've mentioned, we're trying to get over the West, but this schedule, again, don't allow it. And if I was to get this other grant, as we've been writing, the goal was to make both of these positions full-time off both grants to then have a person represented at each high school. And, so we're just trying to kind of find somewhere in the middle. We're being strategic in every way we go, but again, falling short in some of those areas. But yes, we're covered there. Again, a good deal of the time. This here is a struggle week for us for some other reasons, but yeah, we're there most of the time.
One more, sorry. When would you say you're going to reapply or be able to apply for another grant that would allow you more time at Joliet West?
Okay, so we're in year 2 for ETS. So every 5 years is when we write for the grant. So I'll be writing for student support services first, which will be serving the college students. What is our grant? 2021 to 2026. So I'll be writing around 2026 for the next ETS program.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have brochures in the back, and thank you all again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our next presentation is our JTHS strategic plan. So while we're getting it set up, I'm just going to highlight the strategic planning process. We're so thankful that we had so many people that came today that allowed us to recognize them. And as you saw, we had great participation, and we're really, really very, very fortunate. And so the strategic plan is the plan for the district for the next, I'm going to say, 5-ish years. And it is the board-approved plan for what we're going to work on, in addition to all the other things that we have to get done as well. Being part of the district since 2000, we started strategic planning in 2001, and I've been able to see firsthand how the strategic plan has really guided our improvement. And I'm really, really excited about this particular strategic plan, because the things we were talking about in 2001 were, getting things back to where they needed to be. And the things we're talking about now, I think, are next level, bold, big opportunities that are going to be real big game changers for our students in our community. And so, very, very excited. I'm not going to read every action step. It is within the board packet, but just to highlight some information, and obviously, if there's any questions as I'm going along, please just ask them. You do not have to wait till the end. So when we're talking about strategic planning elements, our last strategic plan, the thorough renewal, was in 2015, and then it was reopened in 2016 when we added Strategy 6. During our first planning session in June, we looked at the current strategic plan, and then we also presented some more information because we were slated to begin strategic planning again before the pandemic took place. And so this was overdue, but we just had a little wrench thrown in the plan, but we learned a lot through the pandemic that we're keeping with us, and I think we learned that we can do certain things much faster than we were able to do in the past. And so that's why I think there's a comfortability with some of the things that are in this strategic plan. And it's a lot, but it's very, very exciting. So we had a diverse group of stakeholders, 3 days, morning till evening, where we went through all of our beliefs and our mission and our objectives and our parameters, and we drafted where we thought we wanted to go, and the only thing finalized at that point were our strategies, and we had 4 strategies. And then we, and I know some of them are here tonight, our action plan leaders went through training, and then they led the activities that led to the creation of our specific results, our action steps, and that's where we're at right now. And I think it's about 30 pages, and so there's a lot in there, a lot of work to do, but it was great work and it's very exciting. Our ground rules that we used, we asked for everyone to be candid, for everybody to share their perceptions, their beliefs, their concerns, strengths. And there was a lot of dialogue, a lot of discussion, both with the large strategic plan as well as within the action planning teams. And most of all, and most importantly, we asked everyone to trust the process. Because it's a very prescriptive process, and there is a lot of time for input and discussion, but at times, you're almost sitting there like, how are we gonna get this done? How are we gonna get this done? But we got it done, and we met our deadlines, and again, very thankful for all the participants. And so, some of the things that we talked about and looked at is what do we want to change about our mission? How are our beliefs, our parameters, like I said, our objectives? And so that's, again, where those draft items came from in June that helped guide us, but then we finalized those recommendations in December. Where we are now is really looking at, okay, this is where we want to be in 5 years, and then this is how we want to get there. And that's our action steps that are associated with each of our strategies. So during this final planning session in December, we looked at our beliefs. And I'm not going to read those to you, but we've had a set of beliefs, and our beliefs are, who we are. And I think I've shared this before. When we bring new staff in, when we bring, during the summer, new teachers, I talk about our beliefs as they're not a la carte. They're all important. They're all equally important. And it's really important that all of our staff and all of our students understand our beliefs and that we're demonstrating those. And I ask staff, if you find that we're not making a decision aligned to those beliefs, please talk to us about it, because these are who we are. You can't pick and choose. It's all of them. So through this process, we did not have any beliefs added or deleted, but we did have some language slightly modified. Everything that was determined, though, in the June session that we've had out to the board and to staff, there were no changes at the December session. So the draft is what we're currently recommending, and that's what's in your board packet. With our parameters, that's how we get things done, that are working agreements of how we accomplish things. Again, these were draft in June. We shared them out. We came back in December, and we came to the recommendation that these are the ones that we want to recommend to the board moving forward. So there were 2 parameters added. 2 parameters deleted, and 3 parameters modified. Our mission, and I did display it up here for you to see, because through the Strategy 6 team, through the previous strategic plan, one of the action items was the creation of a diversity statement. And during our strategic planning team's time, we talked about the concern with having 2 statements that, are who we are and our loftiest aspiration, and the importance of merging these into one. And so I will read this to you, and you can see some of the changes and how they're put together. But the mission of Joliet Township High School, a historically rich, inclusive, and innovative learning community that values and embraces diversity, is to maximize every student's potential to positively impact our community and thrive in a global society by providing an equitable, personalized, and rigorous education. And I just think that the merging of those, it doesn't even, sometimes you merge things and it doesn't seem like it works, but I think this works. And this was what the team worked on this summer. We've had lots of time to digest it. And so if we get asked, do we have a diversity statement? The answer is yes. It's part of our mission statement. And again, this is our loftiest aspiration of who we are at JT. Our objectives. So these are what we want to see come to fruition in the next 5-ish years. And so, again, we built upon what we already had there, and we made some additions. So each student will achieve their growth targets as measured by the district and standardized assessments. Growth is important because some students come to us at a certain place, and our job is to grow them. And there's success in that growth, and we want to honor and recognize that growth. Achievement's important, but growth is important too. And so that was very purposeful that we are going to pay attention to our growth. The achievement gap among all subgroups will decrease annually as measured by district and standardized assessments. So there's also that achievement piece in there, and that we really want to pay attention to our achievement gaps among subgroups for all of our measurements. The graduation rate among all subgroups will be 90% or higher. Again, that subgroups addition there is very important. By 2027, each senior will complete a post-secondary plan. In the past, we've used individual career plans. We landed on post-secondary plan to just whatever is what that student wants to achieve and go into after high school, that's what we want to work on with them on. And then the average chronic absenteeism rate will decrease on an annual basis among all subgroups. So if this plan is done and we work through these things, we want to be celebrating in 5 years that we've achieved these things. Any questions? Now, our strategies along with our action plans are how we're going to get there. And so we had 4 of those. And just to summarize, and again, thankful to our leaders for leading these action teams and our members for doing the research during the fall and into winter. Our first strategy, equitable educational experiences, and really that is an evolution of strategy 6, now strategy 1, our organizational structure, attendance and academics, and district resources, just to summarize. And then in your packet, just to explain what an action plan and the different components of it, we have our strategy. Those are those 4 areas that I just summarized. And we have specific results that make our various action plans unique. And then underneath those strategic or those specific results are the steps. And I will say that one thing that is different with some of our action plans than we've seen previously is a a certain action plan might have a lot in it. So the way that we assign action plans, and we talked about this, we may need to adopt portions of an action plan because we might not be able to do all of it in 1 year. And we might need to look at, in the past, maybe there's multiple people assigned an action plan based on the action steps, because there's a connection, but some of them are also discrete by roles. And so we'll just have to look at that. So when we make recommendations to the board of what we're going to put in progress, we'll talk through those things, because that's a question that came up during strategic planning, because some of these, there's a lot of components in it, and we might be able to concentrate on these couple steps this year, and then we'll worry about these in the future. That's not every action plan, but that is some of them. But the goal would be in 5 years to accomplish everything. So the role of the strategic planning team was to get all the action plans. Our team leaders, many of them who are here, did a phenomenal job presenting the process, the research, what the strategy was and what it wasn't, and then what their recommendations were. And the role of the strategic planning team was determined to accept, modify, or reject. Another unique situation we had through action planning was there was a lot of overlap. And a lot of individuals in the room, we said great minds think alike, and there was a lot of things that were redundant. And so one thing that we did differently during this action planning, we had our strategic planning team broken up by strategy, and then I worked in my office, and I actually thought it was a lot of fun for those of you that were able to join me and all of the action team leaders, and we worked on recommendations of where things should fall and where things should merge. And so we really talked about it, and having them there to talk through that was something that was new, but it was really important because they were part of hearing the conversations that had happened for 3 months, and they knew what was the intent, and were we capturing the intent, and did it fall here or did it fall there? So I'm very thankful for the work that they did during that time too, and that was something we hadn't done before, but we hadn't really found that there was that much redundancy before. But I think it stems from we're really aligned with what we want to see happen. So just as a summary of service, because this isn't a committee that's paid. Many of our community members that volunteered 4 days had to take vacation days off work. You know, our students came for 3 days in the summer. We did give them community service, our students, but it's still 3 days in the summer. And so when you think about all those hours, you know, 1,200 hours approximately for the strategic planning team, and, you know, maybe 1,400 hours for action planning teams. That's a lot of hours, and that's a lot of people that gave of their time. And so their input and their time, we just are very, very thankful. So I don't know if we have a better example of people coming together for the good of our students. And so that is just very exciting. So when we look at strategy 1, and again, I'm not going to read all this to you, but our strategy 1, we will, in partnership with families and community, implement a systematic approach to culturally sustaining experiences and restorative justice to deliver an equitable educational experience while expanding the diversity of our faculty and administration in order to remove systemic educational barriers. Again, this is an evolution and carrying into the future of strategy 6 into strategy 1, that then underneath there, we have 5 action plans, and those are the specific results. And then within those specific results, action plans, there's multiple steps. So there's a lot of work to do, but it's really important and good work. And if the board, I think it would be good if the board has any questions, I can do it by strategy. And I'd be happy, and if you don't, that's okay too. But are there any questions about strategy 1?
It was just neat how in-depth everything.
And there's a lot in there, and it's exciting. So, okay, thank you. Strategy 2, We will establish a culture and organizational structure that will foster a positive, safe, inclusive, and supportive climate that engages all stakeholders. And again, there are 5 specific results, so 5 sets of action plans with steps within there. And again, you can see the connection between strategy 1 and strategy 2, as well as with the others, so that's why there was some redundancy when we were doing the work and the research. Any questions about any of these specific action plans or steps? Strategy 3, we will implement a holistic approach to supporting students through family, community, and student engagement, targeted supports, and flexible learning opportunities to improve student attendance and academic performance. And I've been asked, like, okay, what's it gonna look like? And we don't know, because part of the action plan and strategy is to have a committee that comes together, that looks at this, that does the research, and looks at making recommendations of what will work best with what we want to concentrate on. So we don't know what it will look like yet, and that's, but there's parameters in there and there's ideas in there for us to further research. So any questions about strategy 3? If I could just point out action plan 3.4 though, educate staff on equitable grading practices and implement equitable grading in all content areas. I'm really excited about that, and I do like to tell the story because Taya is now 15, and I picked up our consultant while I was pregnant with her when we first started the discussion about grading in the district. And so I think for this to be where we're at and for our staff to want this in our strategic plan, it's a hard discussion, but it's an important discussion, and I think it's great that it's now part of this. And it's not easy. There's nothing within this strategic plan that is easy, but that's okay, we can handle it. But I think this just shows where our district has come, and we're having the conversations now, and we want to make things equitable and consistent for our students. And strategy 4, we will maximize the district's resources to update facilities, improve collaborative and functional spaces, and develop creative programming and scheduling to meet the ever-changing needs of our students and community. And this was a really large group. I think whenever you start talking about facilities, you bring everybody together, and I want to say there was about 40 individuals who were on this group, and it was a huge group. A lot of different ideas, and it has these 4 action plans. And you know, Dr. Hampton is right on it because we had our first master facility kickoff meeting today for the district. And there's already things in progress, but I think, again, where we're at now with our facilities and where we were at when we first started strategic planning is just amazing. And so I think that's just a testament to the process and the implementation. In our district, strategic planning isn't a binder that sits on the, you know, that, well, we met. It's actually something that's done and implemented with fidelity. So any questions about strategy 4? Oh, so then in conclusion, our next steps, formal approval by the Board of Education, which it is an action item on the agenda tonight, and then the work begins, or I should say continues, because there was a lot of hard work done. But the next step is updating everything for communication, because that's very important information to share with our community, internal, external stakeholders, so we would begin working on that communication. We are looking at then making sure we're sharing information with our staff during our opening institute days, so our internal communication. And then I'm also recommending that our community conversations on scheduled for February 7th. We do a state of the district opportunity and invite our stakeholders. We'll hold it at Central Campus, and a huge component would be to really communicate our strategic plan, because this is really our promise to the community of what we're going to accomplish in the next 5 years. And then annual implementation schedule with budgeting, which we've been doing, I think, very well for 20 years, so we'll just continue doing that. and then systemic implementation of the 2022 strategic plan. And what is really important is to understand that we don't start on everything all at once. We determine and we come to the board and we talk to where we recommend that we start, and then we do that on an annual basis, and we give regular progress updates. Any questions?
It's exciting. I look forward to continuing the work on this.
I am so excited that the word COVID is not anywhere in the strategic plan too. So that is very exciting as well.
I just could say to everybody out in the audience and online, we don't have any questions because we've been listening and hearing and having discussions, and we want to say thank you to our president and Mr. Dan Coffey also for being on the strategic planning main committee, as well as some of our other board members on the committees. But we thank you for your work and keeping us updated with everything that you've been doing, and it is exciting, and we're grateful to all of you.
I'm excited.
And again, thank you. I know our staff that's here tonight are very vested, but they're not the only ones very vested, but we're very thankful for their time and their leadership in the process and representing the rest of the staff, community, students, and parents who couldn't be with us tonight. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Way to sum up a lot of work. But it's going to be enjoyable work, but it's a lot of work. And what I've seen, what I see that's coming in the future is going to be some exciting work. And that's going to put a lot of smiles on a lot of faces, especially for our students that we're trying to support. That's what it's about. It's all about us. And we benefit as staff, teachers, and administration, as well as the school board. So we're thankful to be able to support the strategic plan. Let's continue now. Action plans. A, approval of a strategic plan 2023 through 2028. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Amen.
I love you guys. That's giving me a hint. Second,
Second.
questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero, Mayor?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes. B, discipline.
Clap for that. Thank you, Diane. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's. B, discipline improvement plan. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
My only comment is that even though, and as I shared, we were not on the exclusionary discipline list for the 21-22 school year, we still are in the need to submit a plan until we are off the list for 3 consecutive years. So this plan is in progress. And so it is the plan that you saw this summer that we are continuing and that we're monitoring the progress of. And we will look for any changes for next year, and then we will resubmit again.
So this plan is what you're already implementing?
It is, and we had to already submit a progress report too, but again, progress report for the small amount of the school year that we've had so far. So we'll be on an annual schedule. We're looking at things on a monthly basis, as you know, but we'll look at things at the end of the semester and then at the end of the year, and then that will inform any changes that we make with the plan next year, and that would be brought back to the board again. So this plan must be board approved, placed on the website, and we have to submit everything to ISB. So we'll continue to do that.
Roll call.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero, Mayor?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
C, resolution of a governmental agreement with trees. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
This is an agreement for all the high schools that are listed within the resolution to make sure that Trees is up to date with all of their needed signatures and agreements. So all of our various schools are taking these resolutions to the school board. Everything has to be completed by May, and then we'll be, make sure we're in compliance. And I'm currently the like president of this board, so.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
D, Indoor Air Quality Project. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Question or comments?
Yes, so over the past 2 years, we presented a lot of information to the board regarding our indoor air quality projects. Our HVA systems, which is the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So what you have before you tonight is a continuation of these projects. And what this project does is to combine, we have 6 different operating systems, control systems that we have to maintain. What this does is bring all 6 into one system. And so it allows for better efficiency, reporting, and those types of things. But it also opens our system up for future when we start to upgrade, instead of a proprietary control, which is a lot more expensive than a universal control. We can now implement universal controls into our district, which lowers the cost. So as we start to upgrade our HVAC systems, we can get those things at a lower cost. So this is the first phase of bringing the systems to talk to each other. And then the other phases will allow us some flexibility also with costs.
I just want to commend you guys. A lot of this came out of like ESRA and
Yes,
the
and this
American
is
Rescue
definitely,
Plan.
yes.
Yeah, the fact that our district was so far ahead with one-to-one computing, most districts had to spend a bulk of their money on technology
Right.
when this money came through. And the fact that we were light years ahead on that, we're able to do a lot of great work. So, kudos to you guys.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
E, adoption of the 2022 levy, tax levy.
So moved. Second?
That's good, you don't even have to say it. Any question or comments?
The only comment I have is, this is the recommendation that we have that was presented at last month's board meeting.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
F, resolution authorizing and supplement tax levy to pay the principal of and an interest on outstanding limited bonds of the district. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Question or comments? No. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
G, resolution to express an official intent regarding certain capital expenditures to be reimbursed from proceeds of an obligation to be issued by the district. Can I get a motion to approve?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes, this information was also shared previously. What this resolution does, it gives us authority to utilize our fund balance so that we can start on our projects this summer. And then come next fall of 2023, when we have the opportunity to sell bonds, we will be able to reimburse ourselves. And we did this back in 2018 when we completed the media centers, the auditorium, and the West Gym floor.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes. I give a little hand clap on all that. 2018 Media Center and all those great things that we see in the schools that our students are taking tremendous advantage of. And it really looks good, and I like every time I go in there and see these things that we voted on, that has come to pass because of our team that looked at those things ahead of time, like Mr. Kennedy said. All right. F, Joliet Central and Joliet West Athletic Facility Improvements. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Whole board.
Second.
Frank wanted to make that motion.
Yes.
I'm excited about this one.
Any questions or comments?
This is the recommendation for a replacement of the turf and track at Joliet Central and Joliet West, bleachers at Joliet West, and the stadium lights at Joliet Central and Joliet West. And this is in phases also. This allows us to actually get in a pipeline so that hopefully we can have all supplies and materials come the end of the school year. So that's why we're bringing this forth here in December. In January, we have bid notices out for the second part of the projects.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
And I gotta give a hand clap on that one. The reason why I say that is because if anyone is looking and they're looking through our, for a package, and you see what's to come, it's exciting. And it looks awesome, and so it's just another testament to fine job that our strategic plan implements, okay? A new residency, I, verification of software. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Question or comments?
So this recommendation, it is new with a process that we're recommending as administration, and that is to conduct a 100% residency verification every year. So currently, we provide the residency verification when you're a freshman, or you're a transfer student, incoming student, transferring in. Once you're in the district, basically that's it. There's no other type of verification that occurs, let's say, for your next 3 years. The majority of large school districts actually conduct residency verifications every year for all students. And what this does is it ensures that those students that should be here are here. So what this product does, and this is a daunting task, so we're talking a lot of documents that has to be verified. And when we speak of 6,700 students, they kind of equate that to 1.7 parents per household. So we're talking almost 14,000, 15,000 documents that we may have to verify. And we have limited staff when it comes to that. So a lot of school districts, you saw this in your board packet, they use this software product called Clear ID. And they work with the federal government and state governments in terms of security clearance and other things. But what this does is it brings all types of systems like credit bureau, utilities, driver's license, only addresses. It doesn't go into your personal information. And it cross-references all of these different agencies, and it comes out with a score, with 100 being basically perfect. And then there's a cutoff in terms of, let's say if the cutoff is 80%. So anyone that's lower than 80%, we then contact those parents and ask for additional verification, documents, things like that, right? We know we have immigrants that come in and they have certain documents, so they would probably have a low score of, let's say, 15%. Well, we already know that they're new to the country and that there's only going to be limited documents that they have. So those things will be easy to go through, but this is going to allow us to ensure that, for the most part, the students that should be here are here. And we had a great committee We think this will be great for the district. We're looking to start this verification with our incoming freshmen for next year. So currently they're registering. And what we'll do is, once registration is completed, we'll cross-reference documents to this system before students actually start to enroll in classes. So that if there's some questions around residency, we'll start to have those conversations with parents about, additional documentation, those types of things.
And I think one of the benefits, and this is what we talked about with using the software, is it's already difficult to do verification with all of our ninth graders.
Right.
And it's very timely. If we can have more time to help the parents that need more help,
Right.
that's where we want to spend our time. So the software will help eliminate the ones where it's not hard,
Correct.
because you've lived in your house for this many years or what have you, and it comes out. So then we'll be able to dedicate our time more to the families that need it. So that's the purpose
Correct.
of this, because when we were talking to our schedulers, there's a finite amount of resources in our human capital, and, we want to give more time to the people that need it. So that's really the use of this software.
And the majority of our families are accustomed to this. 86, Troy, they do this every year. And of course, if you're at 100% score, you'll basically receive a letter that you don't have to go through the residency verification process, right? That you can just come in and select courses.
So, wow, I don't know what happened. So to start with the freshmen, those will be the ones that you just do next year?
No, so we'll start with the freshmen incoming, and then for spring, and we'll work with Christine's office in terms of communication, because that's when registration for our current freshmen, sophomore, and juniors start. We start to communicate in the spring of this school year. So we'll start to have that communication going out, let's say about March or April throughout the summer. So that'll now start to be a part of that regular process. So we'll pick up our incoming freshmen, and then the other 3 classes, we'll pick those up as we go through the registration process for next school year.
I just want to say thank you for the clarification, and especially putting resources to families that need it, as opposed to just like automation, because sometimes these things aren't appropriate, and then some school districts don't necessarily have a culturally competent approach, is what I would say. So I think this is a good step to put this in, and then work with families that need more help, so that there aren't mistakes made. So thank you for
And that's the online verification and those processes. We know that some people will need more help, and so that's where we're talking about putting the resources. So thank you.
Roll call, please.
Where am I? Oh, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
J, benefits broker consultants, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Question or comments?
This is a recommendation to approve a 3-year contract for our current benefits coordinator of Hub International. Great partnership with the district, have definitely helped us and guided us with our insurance committee in terms of our plan. Came up with just different recommendations on how we can save with our plan and strategies for our plan, to the point where the past 3 years, we have not increased our insurance premiums for our staff. So the insurance committee works great. This company is great as guiding us as we go through this process. And as you can see, savings over almost $300,000 with some of the recommendations they made. So we would like to continue that partnership with Hub, and that's what the recommendation is.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
Okay, summer food service program, can I get a motion to approve?
So second.
Question or comments?
Each year, we go through this process of opting out of the summer food service program. Essentially, it's a program that is required of any school district that has at least 60% free and reduced. And it's required in the sense that if you can not operate in the red, then it's recommended that you could possibly do this program. And in the packet, you see that essentially trying to run this program with the number of students who do not participate then causes us to be in the red. In addition to that, 86 has this same program, and many students' families go to those different sites. And so we're recommending to opt out, but as in the past, where we need support with students for programs, lunches, breakfasts, we bring those in each summer as needed. And it's automatic with the ESY program. We do some things with the food bank with the ESY program.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Steph? Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown O'Meara?
Yes.
LB, approval, copy, computer paper.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? We need paper, right?
We don't order as much paper as we did in the past.
So we need less.
Yes.
Why didn't we go with the lowest bid?
Oh, yes. So the lowest bidder could not provide the delivery schedule for us.
Okay.
So that's why we didn't go with the lowest bidder.
Question.
Is it white?
Is it
They
white?
have different shades of white paper, so I like white, bright white paper. I'm just. Sorry.
I feel like we're on the,
Yes, it did. Yeah.
are we in the office right now? What's happening?
Try that one again. Can I go?
They do, they have different shades of white paper, and I like the brightest.
Dr. Mifflin type.
Let's go to roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
She said yes. She's gonna cry, she's crying.
M, donations.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, it's the last second.
Just want to thank, it looks like Mr. Nick Bozich, I hope I said his name right, Miss Deb Cole, she's a wonderful former AVAC teacher, definitely an awesome person, and Illinois State Police for all the donations, we greatly appreciate them.
Yes, we do. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
N, superintendent contract.
So moved.
Second.
Just want to say we're so glad to have our superintendent that we have right now, doing an outstanding job. And we're more than happy to vote on this right now. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm very thankful for this continued opportunity. I think all of you know how much I love to work here. And I'm just so excited to be able to honestly get the board approved strategic plan tonight and work forward to make the district the best it can be with our awesome staff. So just thank you. I appreciate the board's support. We have an awesome administrative team and awesome staff. And I just feel very blessed and very fortunate. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Takes a talent to deal with all the personalities that you do with. Takes a talent. Oh, God. Personality reports. One through personality report. Personnel reports, boy,
Been a long day, Miss.
I know, 1 through 15. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call, please.
Mr. Edmonds?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
She says
Do
yes.
it. You can do it. So sorry, yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Student discipline recommendations.
All right. After receiving and deliberating the information contained in the hearing officer's report, the Board of Education is charged with deciding, 1, whether or not a policy was violated, 2, whether removing the child from his or her learning environment was in the best interest of the school, 3, whether the specific duration of the recommended suspension was appropriate or the discipline should have been applied, 4, whether the continued presence in the school would either A, pose a threat to the safety of other students, staff, or members of the school community, or B, substantially disrupt, impede, or interfere with the operation of the school. I make a motion to uphold the suspension for case number W2223SH02.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call. Sorry.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn? Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
After receiving and deliberating the information contained in the hearing officer's report, the Board of Education is charged with deciding, 1, whether removing the child from his or her learning environment is in the best interest of the school, 2, what the rationale is for the specific duration of the recommended expulsion, 3, whether all appropriate and available behavioral and disciplinary interventions were exhausted, and 4, whether the continued presence in the school would either A, pose a threat to the safety of other students, staff, or members of the school community, or B, substantially disrupt, impede, or interfere with the operation of the school. The Board of Education must then convene in a public session to formally vote on the motion to expel, if the expulsion is the consensus arrived at during executive session. I propose a motion for case number W222311, recommend expulsion until June of 2023 and placement at Lincoln School.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Unfinished business? New business? No. Anyway, board reports.
I actually have one. Over the weekend, I attended the Santa breakfast down at Joliet Central. It's something that my family does every year. It's put on by Michelle Vanderheiden. A lot of staff and student volunteers. Logan actually got a caricature, they did a picture with Santa, there's a breakfast. Our choir comes down and carols. They have the art department come in and do a bunch of crafts with the kids. It's just a really nice program that's put on for the community. We go every year with my aunt, my grandma, my wife, and my kid. It's just a really fun opportunity, and I just want to thank those people that take the time to put that on. A lot of people donate gift baskets as well to help raise money for scholarship opportunities. I think Pink Hills is another one that they raise money for. So it's just a really, really great opportunity, and I really enjoy it. So just wanted to give a shout out to everybody involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
I have one. So Martin Luther King Day is January 16th. And so it's a day on, not a day off. And I just want to thank Christine for all the work that she is doing alone. And I know she's not alone. But what we're looking for now is just projects that we can pair volunteers up with. And so if anyone listening or anybody here tonight has any projects within our community that they would like help with, you know, your church, your organizations, please reach out to us because we want to bring it back bigger and better than we have before. It will be hosted this year at Joliet Central, and there's breakfast and then time for service and then coming back for lunch. And I believe there's a taco truck and pizza involved. Tacos and pizza, which you can't go wrong with tacos and pizza, right? And we're very fortunate to have donations coming from the community. So if you have any questions or anyone has any questions, contact the district office. But if you have projects, we want to know about it so that we can help provide service.
Awesome.